All right. So why I really like the two video clips that we're going to bookmark this lecture with, it doesn't kind of follow the outline as I've got it laid out for you, so I didn't want that to be any, kind of point of confusion. So I think what I'll do is, I think maybe I'll just do a short little video with each of these points on the outline. I'm looking at the outline right now. I'm talking to you. So we're going to look at Reconstruction a few different ways. You can first talk about what we think Lincoln would have done. Then we can look at what Johnson does. We can talk about what Congress does. And then we can look at what happens in the South. So we don't know what Lincoln would have done, right? He dies 5 days, he's shot, and dies 5 days after the Civil War ends. But during the war, he issued his 10% plan. And what this said is that when 10% of the people who voted in 1860 swear an oath of allegiance to the United States, then that whole state can come back into the Union. So think about that for a moment. 10%. That's not very much. And there's not even very many people that are voting in 1860, right? Women can't vote, people of color can't vote. So this is like a minority of the minority. Part of this might be because this was issued during the war. So maybe this was a way to end the war quickly. Congress, though, they responded to Lincoln's proposed 10% plan with the Wade-Davis bill. Now, it doesn't actually get put into place, but it tells us how Congress is thinking. Congress says, we don't want 10% of people to vote. We want 50% of people to vote. So when 50% of the people who voted in 1860 swear an oath of allegiance, basically I'll be loyal to the United States again, then that whole state can come back into the United States. And the reason this is significant is it just sets up for us that the president is maybe approaching Reconstruction a little differently than Congress. Congress wants some, they want the South to have to work a little. That we killed 2% of the population here. We don't want things just to go back to the way it was before. And that's the significance of starting with Lincoln's 10% plan. Now Johnson, when he becomes president, he was picked by Lincoln to be his running mate because Johnson was the only Southern congressman who didn't leave with his state when his state seceded. And so Lincoln thought he would appeal to those border state people when Lincoln had to run for re-election in 1864. The only reason Johnson didn't leave with his state is because he thought it was treason. He had no problem with slavery. He, though, believed that it was the slave owners, that was that wealthy slaveholding class. Johnson was kind of a pull yourself up by the bootstraps kind of guy, and so Johnson believed that wealthy slaveholding class was really to blame for the war. So when Johnson becomes president, he takes over Lincoln's plan. When 10% of people who have voted in 1860 swear an oath of allegiance, the whole state can come back in. So it's super easy. However, he says if you're worth over $20,000, you're going to have to apply for a presidential pardon. You're going to have to apply directly to Johnson to become a full citizen of the United States again. And so it looks like he's going to at least maybe target some of those former wealthy slaveholders. No, there's nothing in Johnson's plan for former enslaved peoples. And this is the context that those black coats can grow in. And you saw how those can really be horrible with the vagrancy laws in that opening film clip. Johnson said he was going to target those wealthy landowners, but ends up giving out over 14,000 presidential pardons. So really, there's no, they're not really having to pay in any way. And then when Southerners can elect members to Congress, they send, the congressmen they send, they're probably not surprising that they're people that served in the Confederate Army, since most men of military age did. But a lot of people they pick too are men who were in the Confederate Congress and in the Confederate courts. But they even send the former vice president of the Confederacy to Congress. And so this sets up this congressional Reconstruction, what one of the films calls radical Reconstruction, because Congress is what's happening? It just looks like we're going right back to where things were before. So this is just about hit 5 minutes, so I'm going to stop it here. I'll do another short clip in later in this lecture module to connect us with the key points on congressional reconstruction on your outline and reconstruction in the South on your outline. If you've got any questions, though, put those in the discussion module. Take care.